So these are the characteristics of flow. Quickly, let me run through it. You feel completely involved in what you are doing, focused and concentrated. Second, happiness, sense of ecstasy in any kind of flow. Chigzen Mihai interviewed people who were scholars, who were athletes, who were musicians, even monks and nuns who were meditating. All of them, whatever the diverse activities, but wherever they found flow, he found joy. They feel happy. Being outside everyday reality, ecstasy. Great inner clarity. Moment to moment, you know what has to be done and you are doing it and you're fully absorbed in it. And fourth, knowing that activity is doable, your skill is adequate to the task, but challenged. A sense of serenity. You have no feeling, no worries about yourself. An intrinsic motivation. Whatever produces flow becomes its own reward. See, people who get flow in music or study or whatever, they tend to repeat it. They tend to do it more and more. They like it. Other people may find it very difficult. They will say, "Bhaiya, aap 24 घंटे पढ़ाई किए, इतना boring हो सकता है." It's not boring for you. Then timelessness. You're thoroughly focused on the, there's a spelling mistake there, on the present. Hours seem to pass by in minutes. If there is anything that I would like you to take away from this talk, this is it. This is the central finding of positive psychology about concentration. Let me walk you through this diagram. Then we'll relate it to yoga and conclude. But this is central. What does it say? Basic idea is, if you want to attain concentration, there are these two dimensions you have to take care of. One is your skills, whatever the activity, your capability. And the second one is the challenge facing you. So he takes the example of a tennis player who is a beginner. So when you're beginning tennis, when we start playing, it's just a great thing just to return a serve. You can't do much more than that. And if you play against a state champion or a national champion, then what happens? The challenge is too much. Skills are very low. And the result is you have worry or anxiety. You can't face it. It's too much. A teacher who is teaching maybe something, differential equation or something, first time he goes into class, he's a new teacher, maybe an assistant teacher. His skills, teaching skills are not all that great, and he's facing a class for the first time, and challenge is pretty high. Here are IIT students, so he feels worry or anxiety. But as his skills improve, as the tennis players practices or the teacher keeps on teaching, what happens is his skills improve, challenge remains the same, and this comes down. This anxiety becomes, arousal in the sense that he is ready to face the challenge, and then it comes to flow. It is equal. Here is a channel where skills and challenges are matched. Now the tennis player, he can return the serve and he feels happy. When he returns the serve, he feels happy. He gets a tiny bit of flow at that point. So there is a channel here where your challenges and skills are matched. If your skills are pretty high and the challenge is low, skills are pretty high, you are a state champion in tennis and you just have to do net practice, then it's very, very easy for you, mechanical, and you feel apathetic. There is no response inside. It's too easy for you, or you feel bored. And as your challenge increases, you come back to flow. Now you see this entire spread. Here is the desirable channel when you have flow. If you see the teacher who is teaching for some time, he gets the hang of it. Now he starts enjoying the class because he can teach well, and the class is also enjoying it, and he gets the feeling of flow. After some time, what happens? After a couple of years or 2-3 years, it's in control. Without putting too much effort into it, he can manage the class. The tennis player can manage the game also without too much effort. After some time, what happens is he gets relaxed about it and maybe even bored. There he requires higher challenges to enter into flow. The basic idea, the crucial idea, the point of flow, the channel of flow also is dynamic. As your skills keep on improving, you must increase the challenge also to be in flow. And the fundamental fact behind it is that 126 bits, you must put as much of it as possible into that activity. So if your skills are very high, challenge is very low, you need not put 126 bits into that. With some amount of cognitive capacity you can manage, but that leaves the rest unutilized. So to have flow, to have concentration, you require a dynamic equilibrium between the challenge you are facing and the skills. And what is the learning for us? What is the learning? What do you take away from it? It's pretty obvious. If you want to be in flow, you must look at your situation. Are you here? Do you find the courses too demanding, the classes too tough? Then you must reduce the challenge and work up your skills. How do you do that? You know. You maybe have to parse the subject matter into smaller bits, which you can focus at a time. Maybe you need to get help from your seniors or your professor. Many ways in which you can build up your skills and at the same time reduce the challenge by taking it into smaller bits, parsing the material into smaller bits. The opposite, are you feeling bored in a class? Are you feeling bored in a course? Then increase the challenge. I remember one Swami, we were attending a class together in Belur Mutt, and I found the class boring. And I found this other person sitting next to me taking extensive notes. And I knew this person is brilliant, he's far more brilliant than me. For him, this course is nothing. But why is he taking such extensive notes? When I looked closely, you know what he was doing? The teacher was teaching, the Acharya was teaching in English. And this brother, this novice, he was taking notes, perfect notes in Sanskrit. He was translating that into Sanskrit and taking down perfect notes. Why? Because he was bored. He knew all of it. So what will he do? He has to sit in the class. There's a discipline. So how does he let flow? He's not using this, but very naturally he is using this. He immediately upped the challenge. He pushed the challenge up very high. So he's listening, translating into Sanskrit, and believe me, it's not easy. We had a teacher who used to teach in Sanskrit only, and I remember anytime you have to ask a question, you have to ask a question in Sanskrit, otherwise he will not respond. And if you ask a question in Sanskrit, you have to put together grammatically, it must be correct. By the time I ask the question, he will find out 2 or 3 grammatical errors in my question, and then he go on teaching again. He will not come to the answer. It's unless you ask a perfectly correct question, grammatically correct, I will not answer. It's not worth answering. So that's how he was getting flow.